Hey everybody, what's happening? Doing a really quick live recording because I wanted to share something with you all about ruthlessness, about being ruthless in business. Well, first of all, you might be wondering what ruthless means. To be ruthless means to not have a person named Ruth in your life. That was a joke. For those who got it. Those who are rolling your eyes, come on, give me a break. I'm on my lunch break at work, so I needed something to kind of cheer myself up. Ruth, the joke, in case you didn't get it, Ruth is a common female name in the West. It's also the name of a character that's mentioned in the Bible. So being ruthless means not having a person named Ruth in your life. That's what I said. No, but the ruthless that I'm talking about is the idea of doing whatever it takes to get ahead, to succeed, to achieve your goals. And that is even doing it if it means compromising on your morals or your sense of ethics. Doing something that you feel uncomfortable with, that you know is wrong. It could hurt people, or it could compromise on your integrity. You still do it anyway because it helps you get to your goal, and you just kind of feel guilty while doing it. So that's what it means to be ruthless, and to have no mercy, to be willing to do anything. And when we talk about being ruthless in business, the sort of things that could look like in practice could include, for example, using manipulative tactics to pressure a prospect into buying your product. It's called pressure selling tactics. So you might have seen some of these on the internet, like having a countdown timer on your website where your product is being sold, and the countdown timer is really just fake. It says that the offer or the special discount is going to expire in 30 minutes, and the countdown goes to 0, and even when it hits 0, you can still buy the product at that price. Or if you refresh the page, the countdown timer resets. And another example could be that you say, hey, if you buy today, you're going to get it at 50% off, when you never actually sold it at full price. The product is always 50% off, or you're always having a sale. It's not just for today. And you kind of do these, you kind of use that kind of messaging to create a false sense of urgency. These are just examples. There are plenty of other tactics and strategies you can use to pressure sell products. And there's no doubt that these work. The reason why people do it is because it works. It actually increases your sales. It gets you more revenue, more money coming in. And now, for those of you who actually are ruthless, or those of you who do use practices like these in your business, I'm not judging you. That's a decision for you to make, and it's your business, it's your money, it's your livelihood. So I completely understand it. This affects your livelihood. So you got to make a decision based on what you feel comfortable doing. But all I ask is that you just hear me out on what I have to share, and think about whether or not being ruthless in these ways is actually benefiting your business as a whole. And to give you another example of being ruthless in business, in terms of how you how you interact with other businesses in your niche, your competitors, you might have read in the news about examples of really big companies bullying smaller competitors instead of actually improving their products or making their products more competitive, they kind of just snuff out the smaller guy. And that's, again, it's a ruthless way of doing business. It's not doing what's best for your customers. Another example might be going and clicking on your competitors' ads on the internet to raise their ad costs, just to, again, it's illegitimate competition. Or maybe reporting your competitors for illegitimate reasons, and they now have to spend more resources and time and energy to go through that investigation process, whether it's with the law or with Google or Facebook or whatever, So these are just examples. Now, let's talk about whether or not you should be that ruthless. There's no doubt that the fastest way to make money is to be ruthless. There's no doubt about it. That's why people do it. If you use manipulative tactics when selling, if you are dirty and merciless in how you compete against your competitors in your niche, yeah, you are going to win. You're going to have an unfair advantage. Obviously, you're going to win. But you need to be thinking about the long run. If your goal is just to make really quick money and lots of it as fast as you can, yeah, be ruthless. That's probably the best thing you can do. But if you're looking to build a long-term sustainable business, my personal advice is going to be that you should not be ruthless. And let me explain. Think about what's going to happen if you're using pressure selling tactics, or if you're competing in an unfair manner. Eventually, we live in such a media saturated world. We're constantly bombarded by information. Eventually, people are going to find out. Everyone's going to know. The general public will know. Your customers are going to know that you lied to them. Now, using some of these manipulative selling tactics, it might be harmless. Like in real, when you think of it kind of in terms of what actual consequence does it have on your customer, if you're selling a product that's actually useful and you're helping the customer, it doesn't really matter if you manipulate them into buying it. They're still benefiting from the product. Yeah, if you think of it that way, yeah, you could say that it's harmless. But think about how the customer is going to feel when they find out that you lied to them. How comfortable will they be buying from you again in future, or doing business with you again? They're not going to, just because they don't like you, they don't trust you. And think about this as well. Between somebody who's a complete stranger, who doesn't know you, who doesn't trust you, and somebody who already knows you and has a relationship with you, who is it easier to sell to? Obviously, it's the person who already knows you, who already trusts you. So if you're thinking about the long term, then you can't afford to be breaking the trust that you have with your customers. Instead, because if you use pressure selling tactics, then you're going to sell a lot the first time you meet them, because you're pressuring this complete stranger into buying from you. But later on, they're going to find out that you lied to them, and they're not going to buy from you anymore. And so now your entire business runs on trying to find brand new customers all the time, because you're only able to sell to brand new customers. That's a lot more difficult than selling to people you already know. So here's a much better alternative. Imagine you initially sell to a customer something that's low commitment, something that doesn't require them to take too much of a leap of faith, and they buy from you. And they buy a product that's really affordable for them. It's not a huge commitment, and it impresses them. They actually get value from it. What you've achieved then is you've built a relationship with that customer. They trust you, they appreciate you, and then when you have another product, and most businesses sell several different products, when you go to that same customer and say, hey, I noticed that you have this problem as well. I have a solution for that as well. If you're interested, would you like to have a look? You don't have to start from zero and introduce yourself and explain who you are and why they should trust you and all of that. They know you already. They trust you already. They've already been satisfied with something else that they've bought from you. They're going to be, of course, open to looking at your other offering. Of course, they're going to be much more open to buying from you as well. So there's this metric in business. It's called the lifetime value per customer. This is the average that your customer spends in the entire life, or in the entire duration of their relationship with you. So for example, if it's to do with cars, a lifetime value would include when the customer first buys the car, and then after buying the car, they go back to that same dealership for the servicing, maintenance, and parts. So all that money they spend with that one dealership over the entire duration of their ownership of that car, the many years that they own that car, all of that is included in their lifetime ownership. So if you want to maximize your lifetime value per customer, the most important thing you can do is build trust with them and maintain that relationship with them. And so what I would invite you to think about is this. Now, look, if you're using pressure selling tactics and things like fake countdown timers and all that, look, I completely understand. I've done it before, and I know how tempting it is to use tactics like that, because that's the information you're getting, that's the advice you see on the internet, from books, even from pros. But if you just think about your own spending habits, who you choose to do business with, you're going to realize that the people that you do business with long term are the people who've won your trust. And that's the most important thing in business. That's how I choose to run my business. And for those of you who are wondering, I teach English online. I have a number of courses online which are ranging from super affordable, where anybody can afford it, to something which is a bit more personal and more intimate, where I spend a bit more one-on-one time with you. I'm going to be starting an IELTS course that's live and weekly. We're going to be just focusing on writing and speaking, because those are the skills that I see students have the most trouble with. They're struggling with it the most. And generally, if you improve your writing, that improves your reading. If you improve your speaking, it improves your listening. So, this training program is going to be weekly. It's live, and it's going to be just focusing on these two output productive skills. Hey Hushang, great to see you, man. How you doing? And so that's what I'm going to invite you all to. Those of you who are business owners, those of you who are thinking about running a business in future, think about what I've shared. Do you want to be just chasing new customers all the time and not be sure where your next sale is going to come from? Or do you want to build a brand that's going to be sustainable long term, that people know, love, and trust, and they're going to come back to you over and over and over again and just keep buying from you, where you don't actually have to work really hard to win their trust or earn their trust every single time from the beginning? What kind of business model do you want to have? Which one do you want to build? That's a decision you'll have to make for yourself, weighing out the pros and cons of each strategy. Oh, and I'll add one other thing. If you go down the route of building relationships, building constructive relationships, even with your competitors or other businesses in your same niche, you're going to find a lot more opportunities where they'd be willing to help you out when things go wrong. And running a business is all just about solving problems. Yeah, one problem after the next. It just happens, things that are outside your control. So when you have that relationship with another business and they're in the same space as you and they trust you, they want to see you succeed, they're, the strength that you both can borrow off from each other, it's going to give you that edge or advantage over the other businesses that are trying to be ruthless. Unless you're as big as Google or Facebook or Coca-Cola or McDonald's, unless you're one of these huge, almost monopoly type businesses, you can't really afford to be ruthless in how you run your business. So those are my thoughts. That's my advice to other teachers and business owners. I'm gonna challenge you to think about that. Take care. Love yous.